Welcome back to Time Coins, where we explore the rarest and most fascinating treasures of history, hidden in the smallest things, coins that tell silent stories of nations, dreams, and the passage of time itself. Today we are diving deep into one of the most beloved and recognizable coins in American history, the 1956 Liberty penny, also known as the Lincoln wheat cent. This tiny copper coin might look ordinary at first glance, but behind its modest face lies a tale of art, legacy, and value that stretches across decades. The 1956 penny was born in an era of great change, the mid-1950s, a time when America was booming after the hardships of World War II. The country was entering a new age of optimism, families were growing, industries were flourishing, and the American spirit was stronger than ever. Amid this progress, the humble penny remained, a symbol of consistency and trust, a small piece of metal that passed from hand to hand in every corner of the nation. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln wheat penny had already been in circulation since 1909, created to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Brenner's design was groundbreaking. It was the first time in U.S. history that a real person's face appeared on a regular circulating coin. Before Lincoln, the coins featured symbolic figures like Liberty, but never an actual president. Lincoln's inclusion was more than just a tribute. It was a message about American values, honesty, freedom, and unity. By 1956, the Lincoln cent had already become a national icon. The obverse, or front side, of the coin displays the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, his thoughtful expression gazing toward the right, representing hope and vision for the future. Above him are the words, "In God we trust," and to his left, the word liberty, symbolizing the nation's foundation. The year 1956 appears on the right, marking the time of its creation. And for some coins, a small letter D appears just below the date, identifying coins minted at the Denver Mint, those without. A letter was struck in Philadelphia, the oldest mint in the United States. The reverse, or back side, is simple but powerful. It features two stalks of wheat curving along the sides, representing prosperity and the nation's agricultural strength, framing the large letters, 1 cent in the center, with United States of America beneath, and the phrase E pluribus unum, out of many one, above. These words tell the story of unity and diversity that defines the country. The 1956 penny was one of the last of the classic wheat cents before the design changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. So this coin holds a special place in numismatic history. It's the last chapter of a 50-year legacy that started in 1909. Around 420 million pennies were minted in Philadelphia and over 1.09 billion in Denver, making the 1956 penny one of the more common issues. But even common coins can carry extraordinary stories. Every coin, after all, traveled through lives, bought goods, passed through hands, and witnessed history firsthand. Imagine this: a 1956 penny might have been in a soldier's pocket returning home from Korea, or maybe used by a child to buy candy at a corner store, or saved by a parent teaching their child the value of money. It's not just copper, it's memory pressed into metal. The penny's composition itself tells another story. Until 1982, U.S. pennies were made mostly of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving them that rich reddish-brown shine collectors love. Copper was a precious resource, and during World War II, pennies were even made from steel for 1 year 1943 to save copper for ammunition and equipment. But by 1956, the standard copper alloy had returned. If you hold a 1956 penny today, you're literally touching a piece of mid-century America, real copper that was mined, melted, and shaped during the golden age of the American dream. Over time, however, what truly makes some 1956 pennies valuable are not just their age or metal, but the errors and variations that occurred during minting. Some 1956 pennies, for example, show double die errors, where letters or numbers appear slightly doubled due to misalignment during striking. These rare mistakes can make a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on condition. Other collectors look for pennies with repunched mint marks, where the small d was stamped more than once or unusually. Strong strikes that bring out the finest details in Lincoln's hair, jacket, and facial lines. Minting technology in the 1950s wasn't as precise as today, so every imperfection tells a unique story. The Philadelphia Mint, on the other hand, produced coins without mint marks, but with equally beautiful quality. Though most 1956 pennies were used in daily transactions, those preserved in uncirculated condition, especially those with bright red copper color, graded as red by collectors, can fetch impressive prices. Even a regular 1956 penny, if untouched and perfectly shiny, can be worth from a few dollars up to over $100 depending on its grade. Proof coins, specially struck for collectors, are the crown jewels of this year, made with polished dies and specially prepared planchettes. 1956 proof pennies from Philadelphia shimmer with mirror-like brilliance, and today are treasured by numismatists worldwide. But beyond value and rarity, the 1956 penny represents something deeper, the connection between people and history through something as small as a coin. Each coin is like a time capsule, whispering stories of those who lived before us. Think about it. When this coin was new, Dwight D. Eisenhower was President of the United States. Elvis Presley had just started shaking the world of music. The first McDonald's franchises were opening, televisions were finding their way into homes, and the Cold War was shaping the global order. Yet, amid all this change, the Lincoln penny remained unchanged, a quiet constant in the pocket of every citizen. The wheat ears reverse had been around for nearly half a century, making it one of the most familiar designs in U.S. coinage history. Children collected them in jars, banks rolled them by the thousands, and people recognized them instantly by touch alone. In 1959, this design would be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, ending the wheat cent era forever. That's why the 1956 penny is not just another old coin. It's a symbol of the end of an era. For collectors today, owning a 1956 penny feels like holding the last heartbeat of the classic wheat design. Its charm lies not in its rarity, but in its story, a story of change, endurance, and history. Here on Time Coins, we always remind our viewers, sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins are the ones with the richest stories. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny is one of those. It bridges generations. From the early 1900s, idealism of Lincoln's image to the modern world of collectors and historians who see beauty in every tiny detail. So next time you come across a worn-out penny from 1956, take a moment to look closely. You might see Lincoln's calm eyes, the soft curve of the wheat stalks, the faint sparkle of copper still clinging to the surface, all signs of its journey through time. Maybe it's been through 1,000 hands. Maybe it sat forgotten in a jar for decades. Either way, it's more than money. It's a story of America itself. And for those lucky enough to find a flawless or error version, it's also a potential treasure. Because in the world of numismatics, beauty, history, and rarity always find their way together. Whether you have a 1956 D with a doubled die, a 1956 with sharp details, or even a simple circulated piece, cherish it. Each coin carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, the wisdom of history, and the silent echo of every person who ever used it. And that's what makes the 1956 Liberty Penny so special, a humble coin, yet an everlasting reminder that history often hides in the smallest of things. So keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass ready, and your curiosity alive, because here at Time Coins, every coin has a story waiting to be told. As we continue the fascinating story of the 1956 Liberty Penny, let's travel even deeper into the world of this humble yet powerful coin. A coin that was never meant to be rare, yet somehow found its way into the hearts of collectors everywhere. The 1950s were a golden decade for the United States Mint, which operated full swing to keep up with the growing demand for small change in a thriving post-war economy. Millions of Americans were working, shopping, saving, and spending more than ever before. Vending machines, payphones, and jukeboxes were everywhere, and the 1-cent coin was still a vital part of daily life. In 1956 alone, the Denver Mint struck over 1 billion pennies, making it one of the highest production years for the Lincoln Cent series. Imagine the roaring sound of mint presses running day and night, copper blanks being fed into machines, and brilliant new pennies spilling out in shining rivers of red metal. These coins rolled down conveyor belts, were counted, bagged, and sent across the nation, ready to enter pockets, piggy banks, and cash registers. Yet even in this sea of billions, each coin was unique. Some came out perfectly sharp and brilliant, while others bore small minting quirks that would one day turn them into collector's treasures. That's the magic of minting, precision meeting imperfection. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1956 penny is how many varieties exist among them. You see, minting dies in the 1950s were hand-prepared, which meant each die, the metal stamp that strikes the coin's design, could have its own small differences. When these dies wore down or were polished, letters could appear thinner, weaker, or doubled. That's why collectors today look for die varieties like the 1956D, DDO, double die, obverse, or RMP, repunched mint mark. Under magnification, the doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date itself becomes visible. A small but exciting sign of minting history. These aren't mistakes, they're stories frozen in copper. And for some collectors, finding such an error feels like discovering buried treasure. There are also pennies from this year known for their striking color. When freshly minted, 1956 pennies had a bright, fiery red tone, the red designation that collectors love. Over time, exposure to air and oils from human skin causes copper to darken, turning from bright red to reddish-brown or even chocolate brown. That's why red pennies are worth far more in the collector's market. They've been protected from oxidation, often sitting untouched in rolls, albums, or proof sets for over 60 years. Speaking of proof coins, 1956 saw another special chapter in Lincoln Cent history. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia struck 669,384 proof pennies that year, each made with hand-polished dies and specially treated blanks. These coins weren't for circulation. They were made for collectors and presented in flat-pack cellophane sets. Each proof penny from 1956 shines like a mirror, with frosted details that make Lincoln's portrait appear lifelike and glowing. Holding one under light is like gazing into a piece of timeless art. Proof pennies from this year, especially those graded PR67 or higher, can fetch impressive prices in the numismatic market. Today, sometimes hundreds of dollars for flawless examples. But the true beauty of this coin goes beyond its market value. It lies in its symbolism. The image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse is more than a portrait. It's a tribute to integrity, leadership, and the fight for freedom. Brenna's original 1909 design was deeply inspired by Lincoln's humanity. If you look closely at the coin, Lincoln's eyes are soft yet determined, his mouth firm but compassionate. This wasn't a glorified emperor or mythical figure. It was a man of the people, immortalized in metal to remind future generations of what character and unity look like. That's why the Lincoln Cent has remained unchanged on the obverse. For over a century, no other design has survived that long in American history. The 1956 penny, being among the last of the wheat series, carries that emotional weight. It's the end of a great design era and the beginning of a modern age. The wheat stalks on the reverse, meanwhile, stand for abundance and growth. For farmers and workers alike, these symbols were personal. They reflected the hope that hard work brings reward. In many ways, the 1956 penny was America's good luck charm during a time of prosperity. And indeed, millions of people carried these coins daily without ever realizing they were holding a piece of history that future generations would treasure. Now let's talk about grading and value, because every collector watching time coins wants to know, How much is a 1956 penny worth today? Well, the answer depends on many factors, mainly condition, color, and rarity. Most 1956 or 1956D pennies found in circulation are worth between 2 to 20 cents, depending on how worn they are. But uncirculated coins, especially those with brilliant red luster, can easily sell for $1 too. $10 high-grade examples certified by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, can reach even higher values. For instance, a 1956D penny graded MS67 red once sold for over $3,000 because of its flawless condition and glowing copper tone. Era coins and proof versions are worth even more. A perfect 1956 proof penny, PR69 red, can fetch between $1,000 and $5,000, depending on its eye appeal. But even a simple circulated penny from 1956 can hold emotional value, especially for those who found it among their grandparents' collections or tucked away in an old jar. Many collectors today remember the excitement of finding wheat pennies in their childhood change. They might not have been rich, but those small discoveries sparked a love for history and collecting that lasts a lifetime. That's the real treasure, not just the money, but the memory. And here on Time Coins, we celebrate that feeling. The thrill of discovery that turns an ordinary day into something special. The 1956 penny continues to teach collectors important lessons about patience and observation. Every small detail matters: the color of the copper, the sharpness of the strike, the alignment of the mint mark. Even tiny marks on the surface can tell a story about its journey. Some collectors even enjoy restoring old wheat pennies, carefully cleaning them with olive oil or vinegar, though most experts advise against cleaning valuable coins as it can damage the surface. The proper way to preserve a 1956 penny is to handle it by the edges, store it in a protective holder, and keep it away from humidity. After all, it's not just a coin, it's a time traveler from 1956, still shining in 2025. In recent years, videos and discussions about the 1956 penny have become viral online, with people wondering if their old coins could make them rich. While not every 1956 penny is worth a fortune, the curiosity it sparks is what keeps numismatics alive. And who knows, maybe among the millions of ordinary coins, one hidden gem is waiting in someone's drawer, ready to surprise the world. Because in coin collecting, miracles do happen. And so, as we close the chapter on the story of the 1956 Liberty Penny, we realize that this tiny copper coin is much more than just a piece of money. It's a living memory of an America filled with hope, hard work, and progress. It carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, the skill of Victor David Brenner, and the spirit of a nation that once stood on the edge of change. Each scratch, each shade of red or brown, and every faint mark tells a unique story of time passing, a child's first savings, a worker's daily wage, a veteran's pocket change. Whether it's the 1956 or the 1956D version, this penny remains a bridge between the old world of wheat and the new world of the memorial, between the history we read and the history we can hold in our hands. For collectors, it's not about how much it's worth, it's about what it represents: honesty, endurance, and the simple beauty of small things that last forever. So, the next time you spot a 1956 Lincoln wheat penny, don't just see it as a coin, see it as a time traveler, a storyteller, and a little piece of copper carrying more history than words can say. Thank you for watching Time Coins, where every coin has a heartbeat and every story shines with history. If you enjoyed this journey through the world of the 1956 Liberty Penny, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because many more incredible coin stories are waiting for you right here. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your heart curious, and your collection growing. Remember, history is everywhere, sometimes even in the palm of your hand.